the very first episode of Politicos. I'm going to be your host, John Pillar, and on this day we're going to be discussing why people hate politics. But before I jump into the topic of the day, we are first going to look at the interesting tweets that happened this week, and this is coming up next. Welcome back. So on the topic of today, we're going to be discussing why people hate politics. And for that, I have my notes here with me, and I want to jump straight into our topic of today. And remember, if you have any comment that you want to make on anything that is said here, please comment down on the comment box. And we want to see what you think and your insights of what I am going to be sharing here on this episode. So, on this topic of today, my first point is what people grew up hearing about politics. What did you grow up hearing about politics? I can tell you some of the examples I had about politics. When we grew up, there was this notion that if you got into politics, you are risking your life. And why is this? Because you're speaking out against people who are actually in power, people who have power, possibly even people who have more money than yourself. So that was the biggest notion that was actually being spread around about politics and why you should not engage in politics. And actually that was a discouraging factor why people did not or were not interested to go into politics. Looking back, I see that was led with a lot of fear. That was almost a propaganda to try and make as many people as possible fear the fact of wanting to go into politics. And that has worked out so well if that was the main mission of that. But looking at our current state, is that true? Will you get assassinated because you want to stand for a political seat? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, and maybe it's just controversial, but you never really know until you get yourself into the position of wanting to become a politician. And in the past, yes, assassinations have happened, but in the past, we have seen also people who have come up who were not from very wealthy background, people who are not very famous, people who are not very popular with people, but they ended up having political seats. So that is an indicator that yes, you can be able to run for political seat, you can be able to get into politics and in leadership without having any background of either your parent, of either anyone being in politics, and you can be able to succeed. On to my second point. My second point is basically our education system. And I'm talking about the 844 system. I don't know about the other education system, but 844 system did not seem to encourage people to go into politics as a career. And so that would have been also one point where people hated politics, because there was the education system did not seem to hold any ground towards going into politics or not. So if you are a young person growing up in the 844 system, you really didn't know whether politics was something to consider as a career path. So that, I think, is also one thing that could contribute to why people hate politics. They just didn't see it as a career path, but they didn't see it as a course worth going for. The other reason why people hate politics, and this I'm talking about my generation, is because most of us grew up either hearing or in the Moi era. So within the Moi era, there was ideologies where people were detained just for having different views. People were put to torture houses just because they had different views, and this is well documented in Kenya's history. And so that was also one thing why people hated politics, because they saw it as just one way to get yourself either hurt, killed, or tortured. just because you're speaking out against a regime that you do not agree with and the things and the ideologies that they carry. So that's one of the things that could have contributed to why people hate politics today, and especially my generation. The other common reason that why people hate politics is because most people say that if you want to lose your money fast, go into politics. And they say this because of the different campaign budgets that you need to actually run as a politician and to run for a seat, to actually be elected. It does take a lot of work. That's the truth. It does take a lot of work and it might end up losing your money. But at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind, why are you doing this? So this is one of the reasons why people hate politics. They just don't want to lose their money. They don't want to invest their time. And maybe at the end of it, because it's not a sure bet that you're going to be elected, whether you use all the money, whether you use a lot of money, it's not going to be a sure bet that you're going to win, because there are actually people who use a small budget and they end up being elected. And so that is also another reason why people hate politics. The fourth reason why people hate politics is because, like any leadership position, and when I say politics, I mean being elected to a political seat, which is you becoming an elected leader. So the reason why people do not want to go for that is because, like any leadership position, it comes with a responsibility. And what that means is the people are actually looking at you with their expectations. They want you to represent them in the best way. And so many people may not want that amount of pressure, or may not want that kind of pressure, especially because now you have people who wanted to have the same seat that you're sitting on, and those now become your opposition. Even down at the MCA level, at the MP level, you'll still face opposition each and every day, because they want to prove that you are actually not a good leader. So that is one of the reasons why people hate politics and would hate to go into politics, especially as an elected leader. And lastly, my final reason why I think people hate politics is because they do not want to be termed as conmen, thieves. They don't want to be branded these different names that we hear politicians being branded. Why? Because they want to uphold their name in the society. And this might be the reason why you do not see many prominent people coming out to be politicians, because they want to restore their image, they want to restore their brand, they don't want their image or their brand to be tainted. And these are the reasons why people hate politics. If you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment to share what it is you liked about this video, or what it is you'd want to add as your own point. And lastly, please subscribe to this channel, because you'll have every episode to watch every new week. I'm going to leave you now with bold statements of the week.